I'm gonna be ranking every single Jujutsu Kaisen from worst to best. And when I say every Jujutsu Kaisen character, I mean every Jujutsu Kaisen. From Yuji Itadori and Todo and Shoso to Roppongi Curse and Unnamed Kid and Tadashi's mother. All of them. Literally all of them. Not literally, actually. One, I'm gonna be going off the wiki, Jujutsu Kaisen wiki of all of the characters. Two, I'm gonna be including the Jujutsu Kaisen modulo characters. And three, if a character doesn't have a name and is just like unnamed, I'm not including them because like that's just stupid, you know? Like, you gotta have a name if you're actually a character that's interesting. But if you are interesting and you don't have a name, I'll probably include them. And four, this is not like a power scaling ranking. This isn't like who's the most powerful versus who's like the least not powerful. This is based on more of my opinions, based on how much I like them, based on their like personality or character design or powers and aura and like their depth and storytelling and themes and, you know, just all of that kind of stuff. And five, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. This is gonna be a long one. Now, in a character ranking list, inevitably, there's gonna be a best character, the character placed at number 1, and the worst character placed last. And now, this is an interesting dilemma, because you got all kinds of characters, right? You got major characters, side characters, minor characters. Now I have to decide which one is the worst ever character in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. Do I pick a major character that I particularly hate, or do I pick some random minor character that's totally forgettable? Which one is worst? And now here, I present to you a character in Jujutsu Kaisen that has both of these qualities. Simultaneously, I hate them. I hate them so much, has no redeemable qualities about them, and yet they're also extremely forgettable. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, Shigeru Sonada. This is the guy that was like, hey, thank you for killing this 14-year-old girl for me. I am so happy right now. I'm so erect. This guy sucks. Okay? Look at him. Look at this guy. Okay? This guy sucks. He's so creepy and weird looking and like, open your eyes, bro. You're not Brock from Pokemon. Okay? This guy sucks. Shota Ito. This guy, I don't like this guy. He's the second worst character in all of Jujutsu Kaisen for the same exact reasons as the last guy. I don't like him. I hate him. And he's also extremely forgettable. Yeah, this guy kind of reminds me of a guy that I used to go to school with. I fucking hate that guy. This guy I don't like. But that guy, the real life guy that I'm talking about, that I'm not gonna tell you their name, sucks. I don't like them. Okay, they're literally my up. They're literally like, they're like the Mahito to my Yuji, like the Sukuna to my Gojo. Genuinely, I hate everything about them. They're the It looks like if Kogai was a human. I don't remember this guy's personality at all, but based on his face, I can tell. He's that type of guy that's like, oh, I'm so evil, I love killing people, human beings, I love cutting you up. And then he gets cooked by Mei. That's embarrassing. You get cooked by Mei. That's embarrassing, my guy. Off screen, too. Literally just for bringing back Toji. These guys are like the most mid-tier, hey, I'm strong, I'm so strong, I'm gonna beat you. And it's Gojo, Satoru, and Geto Suguro. Okay? Who the fuck is you, bruh? Like, who the hell? His name is Kanada. With a K. I know something about throughout all the characters that Gaygay wrote. You know, Gaygay kind of has a talent for drawing stupid hair. I don't know anything about this guy other than the, like, he's part of Geto's weird little polycule family thing. But, like, man, this guy is the worst fit ever in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen. Why would you willingly make yourself look like you underwent a car accident? Like, what's this? Like, what was all this, man? What were you? Bruh. Evil capitalist grandma. I don't like Mei. Nobody likes Mei. Generally, who likes Mei? I don't like Mei. I don't like how she looks. I don't like how she talks. I don't like how she walks. I don't like anything about her. She sucks in GGS. She's just whatever. You know, I don't even know what her curse technique is. Her curse technique is just grooming people. She's a groomer. She's capitalist. She's like a millionaire or something. This lady is just terrible. And you know, this scene, that scene, you know what I'm talking about. It's the most unnecessary scene in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. It's genuinely mind-boggling. Because it's one thing to just showcase their weird sibling dynamic, right? And it's another thing to just show them actively grooming them in a incestual way. You might say something, right? Like, there is an artistic value in Meme, I suppose, in that it kind of like showcases, you know, like take someone like Nanamis, or yeah, take someone like Nanamis, someone that's like actually principled, not a groomer, and someone who actually has principles and is not a groomer and a terrible person, and that person dies and Meme gets to live. And it just kind of showcases like the way, you know, like the Jujutsu Kaisen world works. Like, it's not fair, you know, nobody cares if you're good or you're bad. It's just like whatever, you know, and that's how it works, you know. You feel me, you get me? Just because her existence sort of makes sense doesn't mean I owe it to her to like her character. Because here's the thing, you know, it's one thing to be a groomer, it's another thing to be a capitalist millionaire, it's another thing to be boring, it's another thing to just have nothing going for you other than that you're a groomer and that you're unlikable. Her powers are boring, they don't make any, she doesn't do anything, she has no cool fights, she's just bruh. I don't remember anything he did, but he's probably better than Meme. Bruh. This guy is really lame. And, you know, maybe his powers are sort of interesting, but I saw Rule 34 of him, so. Bruh. What was he doing in that abandoned place, bro? What are you doing? Go to your parents or something, bro. You deserve to die if you're doing that as a kid in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. Most forgettable Curse Spirit design. It fights Yuki and contributes to her eventual death. It looks kind of funny. It just gets run over by my goat, Takaba. Does anyone know that manga where it was like this, based on this mythology Japan thing of the girl Kushisake Una, but it's a cute anime woman and it's a rom-com? It doesn't seem like a dragon. So why is this all in the wiki? Bro, I ain't gonna lie, I love Shoso, right? But his brothers are so lame, apart from Yuji, of course. This guy is just a big old blob of thing. Why? Everyone else looks humanoid. Why is this guy like a blob? Disgusting. They tries to spawn camp Yuji, then they get no scope, and they get kicked on the balls. And you know what's crazy? In the manga, they were totally forgettable, right? Totally forgettable. I don't know anything about them, but did the anime just like upscaled them or like downscaled their aura by getting no scope by Yuji and also getting their balls kicked? She seems like a caring mother, but her son ran over a high school girl, and yet she's still worried about him. There's kind of implications there. There's some drama there, writing implications there. He shot Cross and literally like started a war between two species. Fuck, bitch. He used he used a kid as a hostage, which is like, hey, 100 IQ please. Also, like, Gaygay kind of drew him like perfectly, man. He has that like perfectly fat, slimy, creepy old man look. It's so ugly. Does this even count as a character? Like, it's basically just an accessory. Charles Bernard, bro. Charles Bernard. There's a guy named Charles Bernard in Jujutsu Kaisen. This guy has two first names as the name. First, Charles. Second, Bernard. This guy is like so random. Okay, when I was first reading the chapter he was introduced in, right, you would think that be someone like Higuruma, maybe even Hikari or Kashimo, someone that's not a major character, but someone that's like important later in the story, right? Or maybe has like an interesting relations to the protagonist, or like an interesting backstory of some sort. He doesn't. This guy's really random. He gave him, you know, a sort of like not a backstory, but sort of a short backstory where he would, oh, I'm this mangaka that's low-key a psychopath and draws terrible manga, and he's like an asshole too. He's like evil. He's a terrible person, and he just never does anything important or does anything interesting or is like anything. You know, his personality is like weird and half-baked. His fight with Hakari was completely forgettable. Why is this guy in Jujutsu shenanigans? I don't know, look. This guy fucking sucks. I don't like Charles Bernard, okay? I may not have a good reason for it, I just don't like him. He's French! Espejo. This girl appears in like, I forgot, she was like a sister or someone, and that was like the Kasu, the Bora or something. But yeah, it was like the Bora sister. She low-key a baddie. His name rhymes with Mappa. This guy gets cooked by Yuji Tadori, and also he's like the main guy in the alien side to be like annoying. You know, he's just like, he just represents the part of the alien side that's like, oh, I wanna be humans. And this guy is Aura Father. I don't even remember his powers. He just gets slammed out by Maki. Aura Father. He seems like a nice guy. Probably has like grandchildren and children, like 2. He probably has daughters and grandchildren, and he's like well loved by his family and stuff. And he was just kind of there as like a lawyer and part of the zenin clan's aura farming in the anime. Gaygay really has a talent for drawing stupid hair. He's like, hey, oh my man, get that woman over there. And he's like, I can't, this girl is totally dead. I'm gonna walk in the door and I'm gonna see her dead. And then he walks in and like every single one of his men are dead and drowning in blood. And he's like, oh. He's like old janitor guy. You know, he seems like a nice grandpa, but he probably doesn't have kids or is married. And he's probably like alone. And that's why he's like a janitor. Like a old guy that's old. And he's also like, hey, ain't you that guy that beat up a bunch of middle schoolers? Why is his name so cool? What US president looks like that and has a name that cool? Cyrus Vale? That's the coolest name. Actually, Theodore Roosevelt. That's a cool name. Cyrus Vale, Theodore Roosevelt, 2 coolest names of any US president. His name is Gary K. Johnson. And he looks like that. American. Am I right? This guy's a ship father. And he gets slammed out by Maki, so it's okay. He initially slams Maki, and then Maki slams him back after Maki gets his power. Dude, what a fucking shitty father. Like, why would you? You're like, you just killing both of your daughters, bro. What a bum. What a bum. What a bum. This guy's the brother of Doji. Why is he so ugly? He has big hair. He's like hairy and brown and stuff. Where did he say brown? I mean, yeah. Totally. The Ranto was like, hey guy, I'm fucking dying over here, you're gonna kill her! And he's like aura forming for no reason. That shit was hilarious. This guy's kinda like a JoJo's character, but like he's so ugly. I fucking hate how he looks like. Why does he look like that? He's so ugly, bro. I hate him, honestly. How can a man look scrawny and buff at the same time? This guy was like at the beginning. Jujutsu Kaisen was like slice of life moments. He's like, hey, stop having fun and you gotta do sports because you have a real talent, Buster. Then gets absolutely cooked by Yuji Itadori because he's like, he seems like a bad guy, but he's probably like nice. He's probably like a good person. Probably has a family that loves him. He ran over a schoolgirl with his car, so, you know, minus 100% respect, because, you know, you gotta respect women, guys. To all the men watching this, you gotta respect women. Women are amazing. What are you talking about? And also, the visual of his rotting corpse was pretty striking, though, because I feel like, up until that moment, Jujutsu Kaisen was mostly pretty straightforward as a shonen anime, and like this whole arc, that abandoned place building, was really like a tone shift. It really was, and the visual of his rotting corpse was like the beginning, the start of that tone shift. And it's the first like glimpse of gore in Jujutsu Kaisen, and that's why he's like up here because of his corpse. This guy appears in like one panel, but like this panel is like pretty gnarly. Like it's so gnarly. For a rather forgettable and fodder core character, he appears way more than he should be. Like he has a whatever design, and he has a whatever power, but I feel like Gaygay was definitely inspired by Deidara to write this guy. You know, Deidara. Anyone watches Naruto, guys? This guy, I forgot about this guy. Why is he wearing that? Why is there a fish? I did read the manga, but I don't remember anything about it. His design is freaky. Ah. Who spread that shit about him being a good zenin? Okay, you know that thing? That like author's note thing about like Ranta being like a good person? Like that shit was not real. That shit is straight up not real. That shit never happened. Most of the Jujutsu Kaisen fandom populace like thinks that was real. That wasn't real. Y'all, Ranta is just, I don't know, just because he has like a little glimmer of a good person in him doesn't mean that he's a good person. You know what's ironic? It's his eyes that make him seem like he's a good person, and then, you know, he gets, you know what happens to him. You know what happens to him. Being blind must be really scary. All the blind people out there, I feel for him, man. He seems like a chill guy, a nice guy. I'd be chill around him if I was like classmates with him. But I'm like really jealous of him. So I hate him, actually. I really hate him. Why? All will be revealed at a later time. Design is pretty cool, actually. I love her design. Most of the like, designs in Jujutsu Kaisen Mojo is actually pretty cool. She didn't really do anything. All she did was do this face and be mad at Yuji. And apparently she's like the student of Yuji or something. I forgot. This guy, he looks kind of cool. Akutumi really loves their working class men that are hot. This creature is stupid. Like, what even is he? Is it like a crab, an octopus, squid, whatever? Is it even a character? Are they even a character? You know, they do have a character design, but they don't say anything or do anything. But I guess that whole fight was cool. But it kind of leads to him just being sort of aura fodder, right? Just like a character that serves to make the other characters look cool or even like weaker in comparison. This guy is like a JoJo character or like a One Punch Man character. He has titty hearts. Why does he have titty hearts? And he fought Suganum for some reason. It kind of reminds me of The Boys, the last season of The Boys. If anyone is watching that, it's like the last season, right? And it's like big. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe what's happening. And then two people are like sniffing each other's butts. You know, that's kind of how it felt when Laru and Miguel showed up in that final battle. She's low-key a baddie, man. Like, unlike the other guy, like, she low-key got that shit on. And also taking a selfie after killing someone, that's pretty cool. Why is he a butler? He did a hand thing that was that was cool, I guess. And he saved Nobara, which is pretty cool, but he never shows ever again. And apparently, him and the other girl are siblings, okay? This guy sucks. Like, this guy really sucks. I don't like him. I don't think anybody likes him. But Loki, like, in a fun way. Like, he's like a sly little brat that's just going around, being annoying, stabbing people, stabbing women. Gets a dog. And you know what? I would summon Mahuraga for this guy, too. His character in GGS is pretty fun, though. I kind of made him, but Loki, I'm really bad at that game. This guy's fucking hilarious. What rock was this guy living under? Okay, like, seriously, you want to turn the Satoru Gojo into a head rack? Get the f out of here. Who the f do you think you are? What is this guy spouting? He's fucking hilarious, bro. This guy's hilarious, man. This guy's character design is dope as fuck. This guy, like, even though he appears for like a sliver of a moment in the Jujutsu Kaisen Mojo, this guy had aura, man. You know, he killed Dura or Mura, I forgot the name. Like, that's aura. This girl is like 12. I guess gaygay. Just had to draw a lolicon character. You know, seeing her care about her much taller underclass women is pretty sweet. You know, seeing her like defend Mai is pretty cool, I guess. And you know, seeing her cry after Mai died, you know, even though we never really got to know their relationship or just anything about the Kyoto high school, it was still pretty sad, right? It was more so like the implications of the potential writing. This guy's kind of funny. He's smart. You know, smart. And this guy's memorable apparently because he was in Jujutsu Kaisen shenanigans way before Toji, way before Kenjaku, way before Maki, way before who else? I don't know. This guy is kind of funny. He's so memorable. He's so memorable. He was in Jujutsu Kaisen shenanigans. He's so memorable. Yeah, this lady is real, man. Like, she's so real. First time she's seeing an alien and she was like, hey, I want to fuck that. You know what? Respect, man. This guy's a cool name. Chio Kong. That's a cool name. This guy looks Japanese. He's like proper, but he's like criminal, but he's like proper human. And he's pretty interesting, honestly. I feel like he's like an old thriller action Japanese film. I feel like he'd be a main character or like a side character. I feel like he should be in a BL. I feel like he should be in a BL. I feel like, you know, I don't know if anyone saw this, but there was this one Instagram reel that I saw that was like two guys in a train, and this guy Chio Kong kind of reminds me of one of those guys in that train. Fat Shud! This guy's one of the only fat people. Like, this guy is the only fat person in Jujutsu Kaisen, which is like cool. Yeah, you know, he's fat. He chases Yuji. He gets his pants pulled down, and he's kind of funny. He's kind of scummy guy, but you know, at the end of the Junpei arc, he's turning over a new leaf. He's like, hey, I'm actually gonna start being a teacher this time and actually not be fat. But he's still fat, and I don't know what happens to him, but he's fat. Takaku Uro. Genuinely, Gooner bait character. Genuinely. She does have one of the most interesting powers in all of Jujutsu Kaisen. The whole sky thing was just awesome, and it looked amazing in the anime, and I can't wait till it gets in Jujutsu Kaisen shenanigans. Also, there was like this whole thing about the Fujiwara family that was just like really random and forgettable, but I guess that, you know, adds a layer to her character. I thought he was evil. He killed Masamachi Yaga, which is like, fuck you, man. Fuck you for doing that. And I thought he was evil, but I guess he's not. Don't blame the player. Blame the game. Fuck. You know, it's kind of a metaphor for like capitalism, actually. You know, don't blame your boss. Don't blame your manager. You gotta blame the billion. You gotta blame the people above. Because they're really the ones controlling the world, okay? They're really the ones doing all the evil. And that boss, the manager, the person that are above you are just as helpless as you are. It's all about class. I don't know what I'm talking about. And, you know, his guitar powers are actually really cool. It kind of, like, made you think, like, oh, it's just an old guy that's just kind of evil. But actually, no, he's not evil. And he's just an old guy. But actually, he has guitar powers. I kind of hope we saw at least a little panel at the end of the manga that showed all three of them meeting up at the end. That would have been nice. But, you know, hey, gay. Well, gay. And also, like, she Loki a baddie. Now, this is how you do an aura fodder character. Okay, Kururushi, Kakaroach is a cockroach, and his design is pretty cool, actually. He's a cockroach, and his fight with Yuta was pretty interesting. You know, it's aura fodder. Because, like, he serves to make the other characters look cooler in comparison, but he has some aura of his own, you know? Like, he's a cockroach. It kind of gave Yuta a little bit of fight. Yuta kissed him, and then Kururushi like comes back and ruins the only possibility of a domain clash battle in the entire series, and then he just dies or whatever happens to him. And you know, that's Kururushi, man. I love her. You know, I love her so much. I'm in love with her. When I saw that episode for the first time, I was like, I'm in love with that person. I loved her in the manga. I loved her more in the anime because she moves. And I saw a lot of people when that episode came out calling her John Kusigaki, because, you know, if you haven't noticed, a lot of the women that gaygay draws has the same haircut. But, you know, this lady was pretty cool. I'm kind of in love with her, actually. Bro, those two appearing was so random. Who is this guy? You know what's even more hilarious? Because, like, this guy isn't a cursed sorcerer. He's just like some guys like, oh, I want a katana. Who got a katana, guys? When he got the katana, that was aura, bro. That was aura. And also, like, being a non-sorcerer in the cooling games, that's also aura. Like, this guy has so much aura for such a minor and random character. He helped Maki Awaken. He's like a naked, sweaty guy that has weird hair. Hey, gaygay, weird hair. And he helped Maki Awaken, which is, you know, that's pretty cool, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. He's not even fat. I thought sumo wrestlers were supposed to be fat. He's chill. He's chill. Even though at the end, he's obviously not a major player in the story, but his relationship with Nanami is pretty interesting and kind of tries to like do what Nanami did, but he doesn't because Nanami is Nanami. Okay, get out of here. But also he's like a cool, I don't know what the job equivalent of it is because I've never gotten a job, but like the underclassmen, but in a job setting, you know, like under, like kohai, but employee. Kohai, employee. Underemployed. Underclassman, underemployed. I don't know. His character design is kind of really forgettable. This person is like plot point the character, and they're apparently like the narrator of Jujutsu Kaisen. Why? Or like is Master Kengen like watching the entire events of the entire Jujutsu Kaisen world, and he just like knows everything? I do like their design though. Born to be in a shoujo anime, forced to be in a shonen anime where you're traumatized and witness all your closest friends age and die while you keep living for God knows how long, till the end of time, even though you've done everything you can to be a good, upright citizen, and your dream, your goal to die along people that you love and loves you and respect you is just gone because you've been living for so much long. I hope Yuji got together with Yuko. You know, maybe that's why he was so depressed, because Yuko didn't live. And that whole thing, like that really, like, kind of, you might seem like, at first, you might seem like, oh, this is really, like, out of nowhere, and kind of tone deaf, I suppose. But, like, yeah, it kind of serves as, like, a calm before the storm of what happens in the Shibuya incident. Yuji Itadori, like, lost by being a cursed sorcerer. Normal high school life, the cute girl, and you're being in a shoujo anime and you're just having fun and all that. She has anal beads hair. Honestly, this girl is hilarious. Okay. Oh, will you be my knight, Megumi? Oh, Megumi, don't kill me. Oh, I'm so And then she gets kidnapped by the US Army and we never see her again. And honestly, considering the US, what's going on there, that's actually kind of perfect. Actually. I can't believe a smart schoolboy 9 is in Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen is a shonen anime, but it does have its occasional moments to be actually scary. Okay, this guy was effectively creepy. But genuinely, it's his fault for being stupid. Okay, like genuinely, why would you do that? Why would you bring a bloody knife to your house to clean it up? Why did you do that? But it's kind of heartbreaking because, you know, capitalism, society, and the justice system and all that, it's actually kind of heartbreaking, you know, society, am I right? Like, also, that look he gave Higuruma after being found guilty is genuinely one of the most striking visuals gaygay ever shown. She's kind of stupid, honestly. Is she like a homeless girl? I felt that was like really random. How like it was just related to Megumi somehow. Like, that was really random. She's just kind of stupid and she was sent for Megumi. Megumi out of all people. But I do like that curse that was inside her. That was like talking out of the mouth thing. I wish we got more of her. Does Takara-chan even count as a character? You know, because like the only perspective we have of her character, we never actually know what she's actually like. The only appearances she has is from the perspective of Todo and 2 other interactions. Who knows what's actually a personality? You know what my headcanon is? Is that she's actually a raging lesbian. And she has like a harem of ladies. At the end, he fought the strongest sorcerer just for the sake of ghetto daddy. Respect, bro. And he was like, they were like throwing hands. And it was like going band for band. That was interesting. And he also trained Yuta, Okotsu. Respect. Took him to Africa and stuff. Respect. And he's a person of color in an anime that isn't a terrible caricature. Respect. What's up with like Ghetto's whole family polycule thing? Wasn't that kind of weird? There really isn't much to her character, unfortunately. Like, we know her personality when she's around Gojo and people of her age, and we know her personality when dealing with her students, which is kind of heartwarming. There really isn't much to her character. She like buffed Gojo before the fight, and I don't know her. That's that whole she does. Okay, and yeah. I don't know if I'm just streaming this, but there was extra parts of the anime where Utahime was there and she was just being fun when the show was like all slice of life. I don't know if that was real or that was like a fan animation or something. What do they call like extras from an anime? OVA? I forgot what it's called. Like her classmate is a groomer. You know what? Why is nobody talking about that actually? And she was there when everything went to shit with Gojo and Ghetto and all that. We just don't know how she reacted to that. And she has a scar on her face too, and we never really know about that. I don't think. Oh my god, guys! I'm in Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh my god! Oh my god, Rin! Oh my god! I'm here to save Dale! Oh my god! So he's a really chill dude. He's better than most people because most people are like bad people, and this guy was a bad people, and then he was like, "Hey, Loki, I'm a bad people. I should Loki try to be a good people." Respect. Apologizing to that chud guy. It's pretty cool of him, even though that chud guy. Aliens. To be honest, when I was reading Jujutsu Kaisen modulo, it was really, really hard to differentiate them both. So they're essentially kind of the same character to me, but they're not. When you have twin characters, you gotta like make them look distinguishable, and they really aren't. It was really hard to keep track on which one was which. And at the end, I was just really confused which one was which. Cross was like the good one, and Maro wasn't. Yeah, I don't know. Cross is kind of like the same Yuji Itadori type character that's like all whimsical and all that, and Maro's like, I'm mad, and they really aren't all that interesting. He gave birth, his balls birthed the greatest, the GOAT, the greatest cursed sorcerer of all time, Yuji Itadori. We're talking about Jin Itadori at this moment. The whole thing with his wife happened to my buddy Kara once, and we never exactly knew what was happening, but whether he actually knew or not, or whether he actually cared about their relationship. But it is interesting to talk about, like, the implications are some of the most interesting implications, because like there's a lot of that in Jujutsu Kaisen, right? There's a lot of like different parts of the story that just aren't completely shown, but they're implied. With the Kyoto High School, with Toji's relationship with his wife, and with Megumi, and even the relationship with Gojo and Megumi. Like, this is one of the more interesting like locations. The Yuta Maki grandkids. They really are characters that we've seen before, which is interesting. Like, this is we've already seen this type of characters, right? Like the siblings, one's kind of like, they do have an interesting relationship with each other because they're siblings. We haven't seen that kind of dynamic in Jujutsu Kaisen, like siblings and stuff, except for you want to be stronger than each other. The other one is actually stronger than the other, but actually the other is so strong as the other. But I gotta say, the girl is way more interesting than the guy. At least like, I don't know, at least like oral wise. I love her character design. I love their character designs actually. I know gaygay didn't draw it, but yeah, their character designs is cool. Like, the girl is gorgeous, the guy is pretty cool, and their fights at the end is pretty interesting, even though the girl was just Maoraga. And yeah, and her whole I have cancer thing, completely random. Apparently the girl, I really don't know their name. The girl has a relationship with Cross. It's like it's like a love interest in Cross. And I really, look, this segment is so fucking boring. I have nothing to say about these two people. They're kind of whatever. Bro, Hanami, not Nanami, Hanami. I love her character design. First of all, she's like a big old thing guy with like horns and stuff, and her whole power is being centered around nature, and all that. It's pretty cool, and she's also in one of the most best fights in the entire series. Okay, Hanami versus Todo and Yuji. Yeah, she gets cooked, but like she does some pretty interesting stuff. She puts up a good fight, and she gets cooked by Gojo. She gets slammed out by Gojo. It was pretty sad. And her learning to enjoy fighting in that fight was interesting. And her powers, like I said earlier, was pretty interesting. And her character design was pretty interesting. And the way she talks was pretty interesting. And her character, the Jujutsu Kaisen shenanigans, was pretty interesting. And she's cool. In a way, she kind of reminds me of like the Kobeni of the Jujutsu Kaisen world. But like, obviously, you know, they're totally different stories, and they just kind of like showcase between Kobeni and this girl. Like, this girl is just cool. Like, she's just cool. You know, she's like a good adult. She's good at her job. She does her job well. And I'm glad she's actually not in the story too much. Because, you know, she gets to live a normal life. We know what happens to people that are actually in the story. They die. And I'm glad she's not dead. And I really like the subgenre of characters in Jujutsu Kaisen. They're just normal ass workers. You know, like they have a suit and tie and they just do like normal jobs and they don't do anything like
my beautiful, binary seven.
All they do is just kind of glaze Sukuna. They have ice powers, which is pretty, and all they do is get cooked by Gojo and glaze Sukuna. That's all they do. It's the maid of Riko Amanoi. I gotta say it, like, she's low-key a baddie, man. Like, not even low-key, high-key. Actually, just a baddie. She's a baddie, bro. It's just cool. You know, she's a sweetheart. You know, she really cares about Riko Amanai. I also care about Riko Amanai as a character. She knows martial arts for some reason. You know, she cares about Riko and her well-being and all about herself. And she's a maid. And their relationship with each other is pretty heartwarming. The way they did about her death was just, I think, the best way to do it, I guess. Like, I got really attached to these characters. I got really attached to these characters and their story and how everything was just sweet and stuff. And I really cared about their story. And the offhand remark of Toji about her death was just heartbreaking. Because Geta was like, hey, you know that maid earlier? Like, what happened to her? Did you kill her or something? And Toji was just like, I don't know. Like, that's just really, that f***ing cute, man. Like, most people kind of don't like my zenin, right? I feel like it was like that in season 1, and I don't know much in season 2 or season, I don't know. Do people still dislike my zenin still? To be honest, even in season 1, she really wasn't that annoying. She was a little, I can't believe people didn't like Todo. Was that real? Like in season 1, people didn't like Todo. Was that real? Was that ever a thing? That's crazy, right? And she's honestly really interesting. It was really about her relationship with Maki and, you know, misogyny and whatnot. And, like, it is interesting. Is that, you know, really, like, real life conflict that's very real, where two siblings are in a household, there's two siblings in an abusive household, and the older sibling grows up to like learn to get out of that household, leaving the younger sibling to rot in that abusive household and become kind of jaded and kind of resent their older sibling. And you know, that's a very real like story. That's very real, and that's very real. You know, that happens in real life. It's the abusive household that turned her into this kind of annoying personality. Really resents her older sibling, and really resents her older sibling. That really resents her older sibling. That's the only person to have ever actually cared about her, and it's just like the way, you know, the miscommunication and just the resentment and just the way that the abusive household just like suffocates these two siblings, and this world that's so like demanding of people that are strong, and it's so cutthroat. It just kind of like forces Mai to like sacrifice herself for the sake of her sibling, and that just kind of makes for a really tragic story. Like, I'm not gonna explain it, but you get it, right? You get it. Kind of a dope ass name, you know. I feel like that would be like some like 80s band, and the frontman's name is Register. Register and the Rockers, whatever. But his fit, honestly, it's generally one of the worst fits in all of anime. Generally, he's like homeless ass fit. Like, he looks like toilet paper. He looks like a snowman. It looks like he's like wrapped a bunch of sheets of toilet paper under his like body. Like, what is that? And honestly, his fight with Megumi is pretty fun too. It's honestly one of the best fights in the entire series, and it's the only fight that Megumi has that's actually good. So, you know, and his powers is pretty interesting too. You know, coupons and all that. And I really love how in the culling games, like gaygay really gets to like play around with the power systems and creates for some really interesting powers and characters too. And Reggie is one of them. And also, like, why is he so knowledgeable about all this stuff? He's actually like spitting some stuff that like most people, the people in that's actually like really relevant to the overarching story. And I feel like that's just so random. Like, it's just this one homeless guy just knows a lot about the overarching plot of the story. This is a JoJo's character, okay? I gotta say, like, was he like this in the Heian era too? He has hair powers, right? And did he just like spawn into like some guy that already had this style and already had this hair? It's pretty cool. Like, what a cool guy that was. And now he's like some guy and he's like, I don't know. He has a lot of swagger aura, I gotta say. He's like, hey, please fill me up, Yuta. Please, I need to be filled. His powers is pretty cool. Jade, you're early. You're live. Sendai Colony fight is one of the best fights in the series, and he's also like a big major player in that. And yeah, and he gets slammed out by Sukuna. I alone am the groomed one. Obviously, I don't hate Wee Wee as much as Mei Mei because he's actually the victim. But then seeing him go from being the groomed one into being the groomer in Modulo is actually kind of weird and kind of sad. And also, like, the way that he was moving in the Sukuna fight is actually like crazy, bro. Like, he was genuinely like the MVP of that entire fight. Like, one of the whatever, you know, like the support character, right? Every team needs a support character, and he was perfect. Okay, without him, they'd all be dead. Okay, Yuji would be dead. A lot of people would be dead. He was moving crazy in that fight. Okay. A lot of you watching right now would be like, hey, what the f is this guy? Who the f is this guy? And look, I know a lot of people don't remember, but when I was first watching this anime, okay, it was an interesting experience. You know, the first few episodes was just whatever, you know, it's like setting up the story, setting up the power systems, everything. And it really was like this arc where they went to that abandoned prison that really like just changed the entire trajectory of the story for me. Because like up until that moment, it was pretty like, you know, not standard, like whatever. And this really changed the entire thing. It was centered around this guy. This guy was so creepy, like genuinely. I know a lot of people don't remember, but it was genuinely scary. The best way I can explain it, right? It's like Homelander in season 1 of The Boys. Homelander is just like this guy that was like way more powerful, like so powerful, that can like turn you into like mushed bloody puddle in like a second, right? And like that's why when he was around like the protagonists that obviously were just like normal human beings, my heart started to race. Like that was genuinely like scary, like an actual existential threat. And that's the way I can explain this finger bear. Like this guy was genuinely fucking creepy, like so creepy. The most terrified I've ever felt. Obviously, like looking back on it, like he's not as scary. But like seeing Yuji Itadori, like literally cry about and like beg, for, like not beg for his life, but like just cry but not wanting to die was genuinely terrifying. I was so freaking worried about all these 3 characters that I've sort of like, you know, gotten on board with. Nobara, Megumi, Yuji Itadori. I was genuinely and also, they also like utilized him in another brilliant way, like having Sukuna beat him with ease. And that was such a brilliant way to demonstrate just how strong Sukuna is. You had this like being that like overpowered all 3 of the main characters so overwhelmingly, so terrifyingly, so creepily. And then just having this other guy beat him in such a easy way. It's just like such a brilliant way to like, you know, upscale him or whatever the term is. Yeah. This guy is cool. You know, it's Itadori's grandpa, and I think what a lot of people kind of forget is that it was his death that kicked off the entire series. And I feel like, in a thematic sense, this being like the first ever scene, you know, this, like his death being at the very beginning of the series is like, because the series deals a lot with the themes around death and all that yada yada, and not just in a thematic sense, you know, it's also like very central to Yuji Itadori's character and his relationship with death and like the world and this world and, you know, and whatnot and stuff. What's really crazy is that like this was Yuji Itadori's like only family member. This is the guy that raised him. This is the guy that he's been with since he was like a little kid. This is the guy that he has been since like he was a child. You know, like his dad wasn't there, his mother wasn't there, and this is like the most significant thing that's happened to Yuji Itadori personally. And even with all the events that happen afterwards, like it still like technically is. And you see that grief sort of phantomly manifesting itself by all of Yuji Itadori's decisions. Not wanting other people to die, just being kinder, using his power for good, and all that kind of stuff. And as a character, he seems like a really, you know, good guy. He seems like a cool guy. Seeing him make green milk tea for Yuji Itadori, telling his son that, hey, you know, it's kind of weird that your dead wife isn't dead and has stitches on their head. Hey, that's kind of weird, man. Also, not just with Yuji Itadori's character, even though this isn't like explicitly explored within the series, the parallels between this guy and Sukuna, when them being like twin siblings or whatever, is that the lore? That's the lore, right? It's just very interesting because, you know, Sukuna and this guy could not be any more different, and I think that speaks a lot to just the core themes of the entire series, you know, of just like being a normal guy or being a crazy guy, but you're super powerful. Also, I gotta say, Yuji Itadori definitely does give off a vibes of being raised by or old people. A lot of things happen during the Shibuya arc, and I think the Shibuya arc is like, honestly, like probably the best. I say probably the best arc in the entire series, maybe. At least like from a emotional impact sense or whatever. I don't know. And a lot of things happen during that arc. A lot of fights, a lot of crazy things, you know. But these two's death kind of fucked me up. You know, just for some background, right? There were two children, and they were in this village, and they were ostracized by the entire village people because, hey, these two, they're witches, they're women, oh, I hate them. And they lost, and, you know, and then Ghetto came in and was like, hey, that's not cool, man, and then saved them and became their dad. And it's kind of fucked up because, you know, you see all the little snippets of them being sweet to each other, and it's like, that's really sweet. And seeing their dad that's supposedly dead, and something, like some weird brain guys like stealing their corpse to do evil, like, that's evil, man. Like, that's fucked up. That's really, really fucked up. And seeing him die in such a brutal and ugly and just immediate way was just kind of like, that was fucked up. And also, it serves as a really good tone shift for the Shibuya arc, because up until that moment, like, it was, you know, there was a lot of good fights, it was pretty exciting, it was a lot of things, and Sukuna just popping up, just getting revived, and then just immediately killing these two people. What a tone shift. No, not that one, the lamer one. In season 1, I hated this guy, and honestly, no, I didn't hate this guy. I was just like, this guy kind of sucks. But his fight between Megumi and him was really lame, and his whole story and background with like his family and stuff is kind of interesting, but it's also not that interesting because he's not a very interesting character. Also, his character design is extremely lame, and he just looks like a lame guy. And then he came back with a whole new haircut, with a whole new vibe, and he's like, okay, bro, and he just like, damn, like a whole haircut, like literally saved his life, man, because this guy just instantly became cooler. He's like helping Maki, and he's like trying to be helpful and stuff, and he's like doing a bunch of stuff, and this guy is a side character, and this guy really has the best fate out of like most of the characters here, because in the Sukuna fight, everyone's like, hey guys, we all gotta team up and we all gotta do this. Hey, you, we're all teaming up against this big bad. And this guy was just like, hey, look man, I'm not gonna be helpful. I'm gonna go abroad and just stay with my family. And you know what? Hey, good for him, man. Honestly, respect. He's really cool. He looks like a cool guy. He is a cool guy. You know, his entire vibe, it's pretty cool. His sunglasses, that's pretty cool. He makes puppets. He made Panda. That's pretty cool. And his death was pretty sad. He's pretty sad. And he has a lot of different mini layers, even though he's never been like fully fleshed out as a character. But I think the way gaygay like wrote this character by just letting him appear in so many different aspects, him being the teacher to Gojo and Geto, him with his puppet babies, and him with his relationship with the whole Jujutsu Kaisen High and the principal, and also him helping Yuji Todori become a principal, like all the different facets, even though they appear in such such different times, such different timelines of the series. It's a pretty cool way to write a character. I think it all adds up to just a really kind and humble man that's a good parent, and seeing him die was pretty sad. And seeing Panda like cry like that is honestly was very powerful. It's kind of confusing where to put this guy, because like, of course, he's a misogynist, he's kind of annoying, he sucks like as a human being, but I don't really hate him personally, because literally all he does is talk shit, then he gets his shit rocked, and it's hilarious. Okay, it's hilarious, because gaygay Akutumi wrote this character that represents just bad people and misogyny people and bad people, and you know, hey, if you're a misogynist, click out of this video, okay? We respect women. We respect women. Women are amazing. Also, and then just having writing this character that's super hateable, and then just putting him in these situations where he gets humbled again and again, and it's hilarious. It is funny. This guy's like, hey, I'm just like Toji and Gojo, guys. I'm just like Toji and Gojo. You're not that guy, man. You're not that guy. And him coming back, and him literally getting killed, not by Maki, but just like a random woman stabbing him, that's really funny. And then coming back as a vagina monster, that's funny. See, that's symbolism, okay? Naya, the misogyny guy that hates women, gets killed by one, gets beat up by a woman, and then gets reincarnated to his true self. Hey, pussy. Yeah. Oh, baby, you look so pretty in the moonlight. When you walk on my side, I wanna be with you all night. I wanna be with you all night. Oh, oh, oh. And it's sad, I'm looking at you with the phone. I wanna. Oh, baby, won't you talk to me? Would you talk to me like a whoa, oh, baby, won't you talk to me all night? Bro, this volcano head person, battle record is 1, a bunch of civilians in a restaurant, 2, the strongest sorcerer of this modern era, 3, a bunch of random sorcerers, and then 4, the strongest ever sorcerer of the Heian era. Hey, at least it's 2 for 2, you know. I guess that's kind of a good thing. And it was really funny because gaygay utilized his character as sort of like aura fodder. It's just meant to like make another character look cool. Okay, his first ever appearance was was killing a bunch of civilians, which was kind of terrifying, honestly. And then the next scene that he's in is that he gets his shit absolutely fucking rocked by Satoru Gojo, like literally disrespected. He gets his head cut off. He gets absolutely mocked, aura formed on by Satoru Gojo, and it's hilarious. And then he completely blindsides you, right? Like context, okay, there was the fight between Nanamis, Maki, Naobito, and versus Dagon, which is a random special grade sorcerer. And then, okay, it's a very exciting fight. It's very interesting. It's like, it's a fun fight, you know? And then, absolutely out of fucking nowhere, Jogo comes in, and then no deaths them, okay? Kills Naobido, burns Maki, burns Nanami, possibly killing them. And it was like, that's crazy. And I think that was a really clever way to utilize this character that you really just don't have much expectations on, and then just seeing them absolutely wreck like 3 of your favorite characters. And also, like I said earlier, him killing all those people at the restaurant was kind of traumatizing to me, actually, because like, hey, what if I'm just eating a burger or eating some Chinese food and then I get absolutely burnt? Also, shout out that guy who like literally quit his job because he had some bad vibes. Bro, that fucked me up, man, bro. That shit fucked me up when that happened, man. Cause like, she's so bad, bro. She's such a baddie, bro. Like, I hate when pretty women die, bro. If you're wondering why she's really high up at the list, it's because you know why. You know why she's up there. You know why. Mahoraga. If you're wondering why there's no number for Mahoraga, it's because it wasn't listed in the wiki, and I kind of forgot to like write a segment for him and make a graphic. So like, hey, if I were to rank him, he would be in this spot. And Mahoraga isn't much of a character, honestly. But I suppose I did include some of the other curses, so it would only be fair if I also included him as well. And he really isn't much of a character because he doesn't have a personality or motivations or really much to him, but he's still technically a character. He's more of a force of nature, if anything. He's like aura personified. And there was this comment that I saw back then that was like, Mahoraga isn't someone that needs to prove their aura. He's the aura tester, aura examiner. So, you know, like between all these fights, Mahoraga versus Sukuna, Mahoraga versus Gojo, Mahoraga versus Tabura, he's like the aura tester, you know? He's like there. Bro, wait. Mahoraga is like the ultimate aura fodder character, because like literally all the purpose he serves is to make the other characters, all the powerful characters, much more powerful. Like, think about it, like which one of the characters has Mahoraga beat? You know, Shigemu, that guy, this doesn't count. A bunch of civilians, that doesn't count. Literally every single character, every single powerful character has beaten Mahoraga. Like, think about it, like he's the ultimate aura fodder character. But he is pretty cool, honestly. Like, you know, he's in possibly 3 of the best fights of the entire series. I like Yuruzo, man. Like, she's really funny and naked and really, really funny. And she came out of nowhere. There was that insane, gut-wrenching, gut-dropping, stomach-churning twist. And then everything was like going wrong, and then this whole random ass character comes in and be like, hey, Sukuna, I have a crush on you. I have a crush on you. Please marry me, please. That was really funny. That was a interesting tone shift, and it kind of turned that a pretty dark situation into something darkly comedic. You see this insane person taking over the protagonist that we care about, and then this other crazy person takes over a character that we also that we also somewhat care about. But this other character is like really has a crush on this other character. It's like, hey, I have a crush on you. I want to kill people for you. And then the true bodies of the 2 characters are siblings, and then the actual souls of them have a romantic context. And hey, incest. This guy's cool. Like, what a cool guy. Like, he's probably not a good person, but I guess he's pretty cool. Like, seemingly he doesn't share like all the nasty beliefs of the Zenin clan. Like, he's a pretty normal leader guy, and he has a cordial relationship with Maki. He doesn't hate women seemingly, but I don't know. And it kind of shocked me how fast he died, because I thought he'd be more significant. Like, it was really shocking. He had a lot of aura. He's like drinking, but he's like, I'm drinking because I'm actually really, really powerful. So, I can drink whenever I want. And then he had pretty cool powers, and he was contributing to the team. And then it's also really fitting how after he died, literally the entire Zenin clan just blew up. So I think that speaks a lot to how he was as a leader. Also, he's the father of Naya. He's the father of Naya. This guy is not a good dad.
Oh, yes.
She's cool. She's a really nice person. I kind of felt bad what happened to her, and how that just sort of got swept under the rug. And truly nice and kind people are such an odd presence in this story or world. Apart from Yuji or Yuta, like, they really are powerless. With so much crazy people that are like powerful and stuff, like, it's scary, because they can just die. It's pretty sad when they die, because like, hey, this is a good person. I kind of understand Nanamis, because if she was my sister, I'd be into incest too. Waffle guy, badminton racket, hashtag symbol, net, mango, cut up mango. Bro, this guy had like some aura. His fight with Hakari was like honestly one of the best in the series, because I think what's interesting about that fight is that these are two characters that don't have much backstory. Like, there isn't much central, at least like, significance to the whole story or the thematics. Like, it's just straight up hands, straight up aura, and it's pretty exciting. He had a lot of aura there, because there's Hakari, who's seemingly like immortal, and basically when he gets the jackpot, he's like gonna win, like, he's gonna win. And then this guy's like, that's how losers think, and then he goes off and actually manages to win the fight or something, at least not die. That was the last bit of aura. Oh, I wanna fight Sukuna, after Sator or Gojo dies, I'm next. Him killing Panda was really funny and kind of actually really terrifying for me. This guy is funny. Yeah, I'm glad he lives. It was pretty funny how like Sator Gojo was literally just like, hey man, you're not that guy, brother. Just give up. Like, literally just give up. You don't got shit. Maybe he was right, because I feel like if it was a sorcerer, he would have died immediately. And people die, man. And I'm glad he lives. And also, he likes Choco. Same. I thought he died in the Shibuya arc, but I'm glad he's alive. And him being like the best friend of Sator Gojo, supposedly, is just a funny thought, because like, his power is really cool. I think it's one of the more iconic in the series too, but it's kind of too bad that we barely get to see it. And I suppose he doesn't have much of a backstory or depth, at least within like the text of the story. There's something like gaygay said about like his family wanting to kill him or something, I forgot, but that doesn't count, because like that's outside of the story. But also really like his design. His design's pretty cool, and all of that, he's just a chill guy. Like, he's just a chill guy, or as he says, or in his language, salmon, rice balls, fish, flakes, salmon. But him like freezing Sukuna was aura. Like, that was cool. you forget, it kind of felt like gaygay forgot about him, and then he just comes in and like freezes Sukuna as like, stop! That was aura. Panda. Panda is cool. And he was literally just, he's just a chill guy. He's just a chill panda. It's the same thing with Yaga, Principal Yaga, and the way that Gege wrote that character, but at least maybe not as much with Panda, but the way that Gege wrote this character in a pretty like here, and then it's here, and it's here, and it's here, is a pretty good way to write him, because he's just a chill guy. Like, he's just a chill guy. And also, his fight with Mekamaru in season 1 was, I think, one of the more underrated fights of the series, just purely like on a thematic and like storytelling level, because I think a lot of the things that they said there, and a lot of the things they said in that fight was pretty interesting to think about. And also like dealing with Mekamaru's character and Panda's character. Like, Panda is just a chill guy that has good self-esteem despite being a panda. Seeing his backstory about his other panda selves, that whole thing was pretty sweet and intriguing and stuff. And seeing him grieve Yaga's death and crying, seeing this chill guy that has really good self-esteem, and it's just an overall chill guy, like a funny guy, like a friend that you have that's like, you know, hey, he tells jokes, he's just overall chill and you like him a lot. And then seeing that side to him, deal with the loss of his father and just cry about it, was pretty interesting. I feel like a lot of people have that sort of friend, right? That's just a chill guy, but they have a side to him that's like really sad and stuff. This girl, low-key a psychopath. Like, Streets told me that if she lived, she would have been like a yandere to Yuta. So maybe it's better that she died. And also seeing her childlike behavior recontextualized to this big scary monster is really funny every time. Seeing Gurika get jealous with Maki, and seeing her like playing around with the characters even though she's literally one of the most powerful cursed spirits in this world is funny. It's just funny. And also seeing her death in that movie was genuinely terrifying. Like that's like, I was stoked when I first saw that movie. Okay? I didn't know animes were still allowed to depict child death. Skibbity. Jujutsu Kaisen was a completely different show in the first season. Seriously. And Junpei took a lot of the screen time of the first season. And I feel like most Jujutsu Kaisen nowadays don't really talk about him because, well, I don't know. I guess he doesn't have oral fights and stuff, and it was just like story stuff, you know? And this guy's such a chud, honestly. This guy's an incel chud, but his arc was actually, it was cool. It was interesting. It was like about bullying, depression, and stuff. And I feel like he's like crashing out because like society, you know, and normies. Plus 100 respect. And plus the interactions with him and Yuji and his mom was pretty cute and nice. You know, what happens next is pretty sad. And I think it's cool that this is here in the entire series, because we see before all of the like grand aura fights and stuff, we see how ordinary life for ordinary human beings is like. And this whole arc is like, hey, people still suck even without cursed spirits and stuff. It's interesting because like maybe if he never met Naruto, he would go on and live a normal life, maybe mediocre life, maybe he gets a girlfriend, maybe he gets a job or something, or maybe he just dies a virgin. Who knows? Dabura. He really didn't appear much in the Jujutsu Kaisen modulo manga, but I think he had a lot of impact in the series. I think he just completely outshone like even the main characters of the series. He has a lot of aura. His character design is incredible. He looks intimidating, looks cool, everything about him is cool. His relationship with that other alien was pretty cool. Literally having to fight your friend, like literally the only friend that you've ever had, and just having to kill him because you're just that much powerful is like, damn. Just seeing him like being a sort of incompetent leader because like he's just powerful and he doesn't know much about people and being a leader and stuff. It's cool. And also his fight with Malrama is like cool. It's pretty cool. I think seeing him literally like being scared to death because he's never fought anyone who's actually on the same level as him. What's interesting is like, oh, wait, I'm scared? And then immediately locks in the entire chapter. Okay, he like learns to love fighting. Is like, I'm dancing, I'm a ballerina, I'm with Mauraga. And he's like a quick learner. He's like, earth sorcery is quite advanced, and learns to do this, and learns to do domestic special, learns to do this and do that, and kills Mauraga. I think we never actually saw the end of that fight, which is crazy. And so yeah, this character is just cool. And also, he gets with an earth person. Hey! It's giving off like Omni-Man and Debbie vibes if Omni-Man wasn't evil. It's really weird that Mahito isn't with us anymore, because I feel like he had such a chokehold on the focus of the first 2 seasons. Like, when you think of Jujutsu Kaisen, like before season 3, before having read the manga myself, like when I think of Jujutsu Kaisen, it's Mahito. It was like a lot of Mahito, and I kind of hated him of the entire series because he's so like, he's just annoying little brat, you know. But he's low-key such a good villain. He's such a fun villain and entertaining villain. And his powers too are probably the coolest in the entire series. Like that hand thing that he does, like in his mouth when he does the domain expansion, it's such a freaking cool vision. And also playing him in Jujutsu Kaisen Shenanigans is pretty fun too. And also feet. And also I gotta say, his final form, the visual of his final form is really lame, honestly. And fun fact, the only reason why I even started watching Jujutsu Kaisen was because of Shoko. Like, my friend was like sending me gifts of Shoko, and I was like, you know, you feel me? And I was like, yo, that's crazy. And also, it's really funny because I kept mistaking her for Nobara, and I kept mistaking Nobara for her. And then when my friend was like, hey, no, they're different characters, and I was like, is she like Nobara's mom? And no, apparently not. Also, younger her was really cute. She was so adorable. And seeing her get number and more depressed looking as she gets older is really sad. It's really interesting because her entire character is just being nonchalant. She's a person that doesn't show much emotion and seemingly doesn't care about much, and is just overall like a chill character. She's like the girl from Nichijo, if you know. And despite being nonchalant, like, she really does care about the things around her, like, and like seeing her friends fall apart and then dying and seeing her get even more depressed looking and smoking even more. It's pretty like quietly tragic in a way that's not just crying or seemingly being sad. I feel like that's such a realistic depiction of someone in this sort of situation. Jujutsu Kaisen is a piece of work that deals with people in a line of work that deals with a lot of death, and I think it sort of is a sort of metaphor of like war and stuff. And I think Arii Shoko especially represents a pretty interesting situation, I guess, that is in our real life. Doctors, people in that medical line of work, because, you know, jobs, work, we do that to get money because we have bills to pay. It's not like a choice for us. Doctors and surgeons and stuff and whatnot, it really isn't the same. You know, it's not the same as working in fast food or retail or being a businessman or even a streamer or something, because doctors and surgeons and stuff deal with so much death and a lot of crying people and so much tragedy and actual human lives day by day, 24/7 or whatnot, day by day, and that's their job. But they can't just stop doing it. They have bills to pay, and I feel like that's so interesting because obviously doctors and surgeons and stuff are still human. This stuff affects them. Your job, like as a doctor or a surgeon, is supposedly to save someone from dying, and when they die in some way, like, that's your fault, and that must affect you so much. And it's not just like one person, right? Like, they do this every day, day by day. So much dying people you have to save, so much crying families that are grieving. Having a character that represents that, especially in Jujutsu Kaisen, is pretty interesting. And it's different with Shoko, right? Because she's not like working as a doctor trying to save the lives of random strangers, right? She's trying to save the lives of her friends, of her co-workers, seeing that trauma affect her by having her do so much of these self-destructive behaviors like smoking and stuff, seemingly being sleep deprived. Smoking, it numbs the pain. And I feel like that's such a realistic portrayal of depression and people in that line of work. Unlike a lot of people, I don't hate Maki particularly. I don't dislike him, but I guess I like him if you were to ask me whether I liked him or not. And you can kind of attribute a lot of the bad things that happen in the series to him. Like, if he wasn't such a sorcerer at the beginning, none of the events of the series would have happened. Yuji Itadori would have lived a normal life. Sukuna wouldn't have came back and all that stuff. If he wasn't such a sorcerer, he wouldn't have to summon Mahoraga and kill a bunch of people in Shibuya. If he wasn't such a sorcerer, he wouldn't have gotten possessed by Sukuna and being depressed and stuff. But I don't know, okay. Like, his fights are pretty cool. Him being his fight with Reggie Star is pretty cool, and his fight with that random finger bearer was pretty cool, and his fight with Kiraro was fine, and him beating up middle schoolers is a cool backstory. He's like nonchalant and he cares about Yuji Itadori. He saved Yuji. He got saved by Yuji Itadori. To me, the fact that he's not higher up this list, even though he's relatively high, it's not even that he's weak or E-bomb or something. There's just something lacking about him as a character that makes him compelling. But I suppose I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. He's just maybe a little too nonchalant, especially for someone who's supposedly like in the big three of the protagonists. There's barely any compelling drama between him and Toji. His relationship with Gojo isn't fleshed out like at all. His care for her sister Tsumiki is sweet, but we don't get a lot of it. So like this whole depression thing that he's going doesn't resonate with us, because like we're kind of busy watching the fights and you're not like showing us that, okay? And he's competent and cool during fights. Whenever he's like the driver of the story, like I don't mind it. Like he can be cool. He has some aura. His fight, he saved Nanami in him. Honestly, he's such a boring character. People say that Gaygay wrote him as a representation of depression, but Haruhi Shoko is a better representation of that, or even Junpei. And he barely appeared in Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo, but that entire arc, backstory, origin story, or whatever, about the whole aliens and stuff, was generally so gripping. To me, at least. He feels like such a reliable guy. I feel like in the entirety of Jujutsu Kaisen, the entire Jujutsu Kaisen verse, there isn't like a big brother type of character. I mean, there is, but like, not to this extent. Like, he feels like you know what he feels like? He feels like a revolutionary. He feels like Martin Luther King. He's the Martin Luther King of the alien Samura race. I don't know. I'm sorry. He's such a like dependable, cool, and chill guy, and he uses his power and like I suppose influence or whatever to like better his people, to start break down the barriers of divide between the aliens and this alien stuff. What happened was just so tragic, you know, because I feel like that happens a lot in our history, you know, like there's generally some great people in history that are trying to make some actual change in the world, to like break down barriers and social activism and all that kind of stuff. And Dura was a great person. He's like the type of person that you would look back on and it's like, hey, that was a great person in history, and we remember him as a great person in history. I guess. And his death was just so tragically beautiful, and even after his death, he's affecting the people of Samura. He essentially saved his entire species. Wow, what an incredible guy. She's so kawaii desu, bro. She's like kawaii, bro. Like, she's so kawaii and stuff. You know how I see Kasumi Miwa? She's basically like the Kobeni of Jujutsu Kaisen. And like Kobeni is like a crazy, incompetent, cowardly person, and it's played a lot for laughs. It's very like exaggerated, and it's very kind of sad at that point. He's like crying a lot, and I feel like that represents a lot of how Fujimoto writes that series of just having a lot of crazy people. And then Miwa, they like use her incompetence and not really cowardness, as like comedic relief, but obviously she's not like, she's a lot more dignified than Kobeni, and she's just like a normal person. She's funny, you know, whenever she's on a scene, like she's funny, she does something funny, and like, hey, how could you not like her? And also the train scene with Mekamuro was just beautiful. Like, wow, I didn't know Jujutsu Kaisen was capable of that. I genuinely cried at that scene, I think. It's the Reigen Arataka of Jujutsu Kaisen. This guy, I love this guy. Whenever he's on scene, he does something, he says something funny, and he's just funny. Like, he's so real. He's just like, hey, I don't want to do my job because I don't want to die. And, yeah, man. Like, him purposely getting away from the scene of the battle was funny. And also just like him having to fight Sukuna, that was hilarious. That is like the most hilarious part of the entire series. Okay, that shit was so funny. And you know what? He actually did a pretty decent job. You know, he's the strongest grade 1 sorcerer. That's what they say. And he probably is. And he didn't die against Sukuna. You know, that's better than Kashimo. Better than Sator Gojo. It's so fascinating the way that Gaygay wrote this character, because obviously he's just a comedic relief character. Like, there isn't much to him above just being like Reigen Arataka. Like, the literal glimpse of his relationship with his like traumatized sister, I think that added so much depth to his character. And even just like that, like literal seconds of a scene, like added so much to his character. And yeah. Wow, guys, we're in the big leagues now, okay? It's 20 in the ranking. It's all straight of the major characters up until this point here. And we're gonna start off with my girl, with a lot of people's girl, Bara Kusagaki. Like, she's so cool, you know? Like, she's just a girl. She's like, the countryside. The countryside sucks. I wanna go to the city. And you know what? I can relate, because I did used to live in the countryside and it made me want to myself, so I went to the city. And she got homegirl status with Yuji Itadori, and she disappears halfway through the show. And she dies, supposedly, but she didn't die, you know? But it really felt like she died. She's just cool, man. And I feel like her character, I feel like it represents a lot of some of the themes, of like a running theme in this series. Because I feel like with characters, it's that sort of like hedonistic and maybe shallow like mindset. Because Nobara is this girl that, like, you know, cares about fashion, like cool city stuff. Her fight with the 12-year-old was really boring, and her Paris is cool, kind of, and how she looks like in Jujutsu Kaisen Mojo is amazing. She looks amazing. Her with the eye patch is cool. Also, I completely forgot her entire backstory was just so left field. It was honestly fascinating, because Shibuya arc, right? A lot of things have happened. A lot of people died. Yuji Itadori is forever traumatized because he inadvertently killed a whole people, put a whole hole in the city of Shibuya, killed a bunch of people. He's like, forever traumatized. Nanami's dead. Mahito is back. A bunch of other people died, and then Yuji Itadori is traumatized, and then Nobara comes in, and then she supposedly dies too. And so the audience is just completely traumatized. A lot of stuff has happened, and then it all just sort of pauses. It all pauses. From all the explosions, all of the aura fights, all of the death, all of the tragedy, and it pauses. And it brings us back to this incredibly ordinary, and maybe even boring story about these two country girls and this other girl that moved in with them, and the whole story. And I love it, honestly. I love how it just appears out of nowhere between all of the like explosions and grand, and like stuff. As a story, like, it's so fascinating, like as a backstory, because typically in anime, right, when someone's about to die, or before someone dies, obviously, it shows their backstory, right, and it's this incredibly sad and tragic story. Oh, my mom and dad died. Oh, this person died. I'm so sad because society and stuff. It's so sad. You know, the anime makes you sad because, like, it's sad, and it makes it even more sad because they died. But this is different. They show this backstory, right, before someone dies, and oh, that's a typical anime trope, and it's this incredibly normal, ordinary, mundane story that maybe even kind of boring to some people, and I love it because, like, yeah, like Nobara is just a normal person who's just like a victim of all the craziness and absurdity of the world, and that's just us, guys. Like, people who die in car accidents, for example, or people who have, I don't know, people who just die, right? We're all just ordinary people. Not everyone is like, has an insane backstory, right? We're all ordinary, but obviously it's still tragic when we die, because honestly, life is beautiful. Or boring stuff is beautiful. Ordinary, mundane stuff is so human, and it's so beautiful. And I feel like the juxtaposition of like all the crazy, like hedonistic stuff, someone like Sukuna, all the crazy fights and the murder and the death, when the entirety of Shibuya like blew up, it is hard to grasp the gravity of that situation, right? Like, we can recognize people died, you know, a lot of people died, but obviously like that happens a lot in movies and anime and stuff. So while yes, obviously like I was affected by that, it's hard to completely grasp the tragedy of that entire thing. This backstory like pops up with all the people that died in Shibuya. Imagine Fumi, Sayori, Nobara. Imagine that like 10 times fold. 10 of hundreds of Nobaras and Fumis, Sayoris that all have their own beautifully mundane and ordinary backstories. Imagine all of that dying because some guy just wanted to fight some other guy. But I also really hate how she like comes back. Hey, I'm back, boys! Like, that was so Marvel, Disney and shit, and I hated that, honestly. She's so bad, bro. Like, she's such a baddie, bro. Like, I can't even lie. Like, if you're wondering why she's up in 19 above all those other characters, it's because she's a baddie. And if I was in her class, and she was my classmate, and I was her classmate, I'd have a massive crush on her. But I don't think she would like me back, honestly. Like, I'm jealous of this guy. Like, how dare you be friends with her, man? Like, I don't want to be friends with her. I don't want to be friends with her. Like, if I was her classmate and she was my classmate, or I was her schoolmate and she was my schoolmate, I'd be like, hey, yo, Loki, like, let me join. Like, I actually like really like paranormal activity stuff, and I actually really like ghosts and stuff. Like, Loki, let me like join your club. And then I'd just be simping on her the entire time. And yeah. May I remind you, this is Jujutsu Kaisen. This is the series this is the series or manga with the demons that want to kill people, and the super powerful people that can blow up an entire city with a flick of their finger. And here is Sasaki, just a normal person that's straight out from like a shoujo or slice of life manga, straight out of Nichiju or Azumanga Daioh or Buchi the Rock or Lucky Star or something. The first episode, or like the first part of the first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, like really did feel like a fun shoujo slice of life manga. You know, like my club member is really strong and athletic, but he's in the paranormal activity club or something. I feel really bad for Yuji. You know, he could have lived that normal, fun shoujo anime life, slice of life, manga life. But oh no, he just had a demon inside of him and fight a bunch of demons. And I feel like Sasaki like represents that loss. You know, the loss, maybe not like a romantic thing, or not even like a, I don't know, whatever thing, but it's just the loss of that youth, that high school life, that like innocence, that just living a normal, fun life with your friends and stuff, you know, without having the threat of death hang over you at every single day of your life. Also, I really like her because I really like her and stuff. And also they animated her in season 3. They animated her like really pretty too. So like her eyes are like so beautiful. Personally, I'm not too big on Toji as a character. Like, there's people with him. You know, he has his fans. There's a lot of people that like ride on this guy, right? Ride this guy's day, like cotton balls. And I'm not one of them, you know. But even I can't deny that this guy has a lot of aura, like so much aura, and a lot of his aura has to deal with this, like the character out of the norm. You know, the singular, like what's the word for it? The singular, like Katniss in Hunger Games. I don't know, no, not him. Like the singular, what's the word? What's the word? Singular, anomaly. Like a singular anomaly. He is the anomaly. You know, he's like the guy that has no cursed energy, but he's still like able to kill a bunch of people that have cursed energy. Aura, bro, aura. Seeing Master Tengen like talk in that one episode of season 3 where it was just talking and stuff, and seeing how Toji really affected the entire trajectory of the story was pretty cool. Like, he is the anomaly that like broke the entire story in half pieces. Gave Gojo to trauma, gave birth to Megumi. Like, his effects of the story, even though he only appeared in one arc and a little bit in another arc, but not that much, he had a lot of impact in the story, and I think that's really, really cool. And also, even though we never saw his relationship with his wife and family and stuff, I think like the implications of it is still pretty interesting. It's still pretty interesting, like especially considering this guy as like a homeless person who's like gambling and killing high schoolers, grieving his wife that's actually like a good and decent person. Like, wow, that's so sad, man. And also being him being in a zenin clan and not being accepted and having depression because of that is cool and interesting, and I love like all of that implications just create for a pretty three-dimensional character. And also killing himself to save his—
I want mommy, I want milk, I want to be—
Yuki was cool, man. Yuki was chill. Gone from us too soon. Like, she was kind of a little bit like Yuta in terms of like she was like being sprinkled throughout the story. Oh, there was this one lady that mentored Todo and is a special great sorcerer that's traveling around the world. And so when she finally appeared, it was pretty high. Like, hey, Yuki's there. Whoa. And she had, in my opinion, one of the hypest and coolest best fights of the entire series. Yuki and Choso versus Kenjaku. That was a good fight, but he died. It was pretty sad. And Yuki and Choso was pretty sad. Also, she died in like the most bullshit way possible, bro. Like, that shit was bullshit. Genuinely, like, that shit was just bullshit, man. That shit was fucking bullshit. It's kind of upsetting that we never really gotten the fruition of her research, I suppose. It's pretty sad that she died. It's pretty sad. It's especially sad because of all the potential. And I think that's what makes her death the way that it is. You know, it's the loss of like potential. You know, it's the loss of someone that you don't really think would die, that shouldn't die. And I think seeing her die, I think it was a good death. Even though it was bullshit, I think it was a good death. I don't know what I'm putting the both of them in the same segment because they're like a couple. So, you know, they gotta come together, you know? And I think they're a good example of characters that don't exactly reinforce the plot or maybe even add much thematic relevance, maybe? I don't know. Or like cool sad stories or stuff, but they're just like really cool, you know? They're good characters because they're really cool. Hakari versus Kashimo is like one of the dopest, aura-est fights of the Jujutsu Kaisen world, and like his domain is iconic, you know? Tunga, you feel me? And like Jackpot is like, that's a really cool power, man. I think this is a really cool power. And Jujutsu Kaisen has a lot of cool powers, and Hakari's powers are like one of the coolest powers. And you know, Hikari's just an alpha male, man. Like, he's just a straight up alpha male. His muscles, you know, he has cool hair, he's a cool style, he's a mustache. He wants to make his own fight club to make money. It's all about the money. And like, I can relate, I'm all about the money. And also Kirara, she has one of the coolest character designs. Okay, she's so cool. You know, she looks cool. And her powers were like really confusing in the manga, but like in the anime, it was done really well. Like, it was still confusing, but it was really cool. And that was the last thing she ever did. But you know, hey, I still like her. Takaba, bro. Takaba's the GOAT. Takaba's the GOAT. I ain't even freaking lying, bro. Takaba's the freaking GOAT, bro. I'm not lying, bro. I'm not even lying. Genuinely, like, he has the coolest powers. Like, genuinely, he has the coolest powers in Jujutsu Kaisen. Excuse me. There's like a thing in power scaling, like, forgive me if I'm wrong, but there's a thing called Toon Force. I don't actually know, I don't think that's right, but there was like a thing, okay? There was a thing with like when you're like power scaling cartoon characters or like comedy characters, like Uncle Grandpa, for example. They can do like powerful stuff that, you know, other like characters, when power scalers look at that and it's like, oh, they can like explode entire Earth in a flick of their finger because they did this and did that. But for cartoon characters, it doesn't count because they do that stuff for the sake of the comedy, you know, like that's Toon Force, I guess. I don't know if I'm using it right. I don't freaking care about power scaling. And also, Gaygay literally put that as like an actual power in the series. Okay, that's what makes Jujutsu Kaisen's power scaling, like power systems, so freaking cool. Because literally everyone just gets to do whatever they want. Okay, everyone can have gambling powers. Everyone can have electric powers or speed powers, or even no powers, or eye powers, or fire powers, or manga powers. And then Takaba has the power of comedy and laughter. And genuinely, to the highest key possible, Takaba versus Kenjaku is the best fight in the entire Jujutsu Kaisen. That shit was crazy. Okay, that shit was inventive, that shit was creative, that shit was fun. It was exciting, not just like for Kenjaku's character, which is it was cool, but like Takaba's so cool, man. Takaba's so cool. And like that entire fight just being an entire comedy, stand-up comedy set, it's pretty cool. And I think what's really fascinating about this power is that they give the power of comedy to someone who's not really fun. Like Takaba, his entire thing is that he's literally a failed comedian and nobody laughs at his joke because he sucks at it. And they gave the power, if you're funny, you are the most powerful person ever, power to someone that's not funny. And I think that's hilarious. She's such a sweetheart, bro. That entire inventory verse arc, I forgot what it was called, but that entire arc was just beautiful. And of course, Riko Amanai, what a beautiful character. Like, I'm not talking about her appearance. I'm talking about just like her entire tale is just so beautiful. Visually, the way it was all animated was just beautiful. Just everything about it was so beautifully cold and heartbreaking. I don't know. Jujutsu Kaisen is very sparsely beautiful. It's usually like action-packed. It's usually kind of ugly. It's usually kind of traumatizing. But like this entire arc was just beautiful. You know, it was fleeting youth. It was fleeting youth, fleeting innocence. Like the good old days. It was the golden era. It was when things were just quiet and things were allowed to be happy and fun. Riko Amanai represents that fleeting youth and happiness. She's this person, you know, she's this young teenager that has had her face hidden since she was a baby. You know, hey, when you grow up, you're gonna become a massive tree and become like a thing for some other person because you gotta do it, man. You gotta do it. And then, like, obviously, you know, like, hey, I'm my own person, man. Like, I want to live my life. I want to hang out with my friends and be a teenager, go to college and stuff. You know, I don't want to do all this stuff. And her death, man, that was heartbreaking. I don't know if Jujutsu Kaisen started it, but I feel like that death, that sudden death of like this character, the person is smiling, oh, and then boom, they got shot, they die immediately. I don't know if Jujutsu Kaisen like did that first. Nowadays, like I can't trust when there's like a singular shot of this person smiling anymore, okay? I can't trust it, because I know I'm just gonna expect them to get shot all of a sudden. I feel like her death like represented so much of the themes of Satoru Gojo's character, of like having this fate decided to you at birth and trying to fight it as hard as you can. And then if you do that, you're gonna die. And so Satoru Gojo, you know, maybe he didn't want to be the most powerful person ever, right? Like maybe he just wanted to be a normal high school person. But obviously he's seen that trying to fight your fate leads you to die. And so, you know, I think that led up to him owning up to his role as the strongest sorcerer. I'll touch on Satoru Gojo more. I'll touch Satoru Gojo more later. Death was just really sad and really powerful, and her entire story is just really powerful and all stuff, and I love her, you know, I love her entire story, and I feel like it was just the catalyst of everything going wrong.
I'm racist.
Filthy monkey. Touch on more about that entire arc, the whole fleeting innocence, fleeting youth and stuff. Ghetto Sugoro's story is incredibly tragic, you know, and I think what makes it so tragic is that we know what happened. That entire arc is a prequel story. It's like Better Call Saul. Like we know Better Call Saul, we're watching Better Call Saul. It's like Jimmy McGill, and we're all like, oh, we know what's gonna happen to him. We know that he's gonna turn into Saul Goodman. We know that these characters don't appear in Breaking Bad, so something's gonna happen to him. And you know, we know all this stuff, but obviously what's interesting about it is that we're interested in what leads up with Ghetto Suguro. At the beginning of this arc, we see him and Gojo, you know, being happy buddies. They're like besties, they're gay lovers, they're like hanging out and stuff, and everything is happy and stuff. And we're all here like, we know what's gonna happen. And we know that Ghetto turns evil. We know that Ghetto dies at the hands of Gojo. And so it makes all these like happy moments have a tinge of sadness every time it happens. And so yeah, we're like eagerly waiting what's gonna happen. And even though we know what's gonna happen, you know, seeing all the different steps, all the different bricks and dominoes, and we know that like this is a written thing, like this is a story, right? We know that like it's dead set that this is gonna happen, but like still, like seeing it so perfectly laid out for him to become this evil person, be seeing him radicalized, witnessing someone die that they were supposed to save, hearing that their friend who's supposed to be like the most powerful ever die supposedly, and then getting defeated by some random guy. That's another thing. That's another brick. Boom. Having his best friend slowly drift away from him and being isolated. Hearing from an expert that it's actually viable for his heinous ideas to work. Having a friend of him die. Witnessing the atrocities humans do to cursed sorcerers. Witnessing all these different elements pile up until he gets fully radicalized and becomes a racist. I'm sorry, that was a joke, but genuinely, that's such a good depiction of seeing someone getting actually radicalized. Ghetto wouldn't have turned out that way if Gojo, you know, was by his side. But of course, Ghetto and Gojo just had different reactions to the death of Rico Amana. Ghetto was actually someone who believed in protecting humans and protecting non-sorcerers. Witnessing Rico Amana's death and being defeated by some random guy left them feeling sort of powerless. Seeing the people that they're supposed to protect and risk their life for being so terrible and atrocious obviously muddled the waters of the philosophy that he once used to have. Well, Satoru Gojo, his reaction to Amanai's death is to sink himself further into this duty and become the strongest ever. And that's what makes Ghetto and Gojo's whole characters, relationship so interesting. What's really more fascinating, the stuff that he's doing. You know, he becomes such a flamboyant character too. He's wearing robes. He has a whole family, and that whole thing is so weird. That shit was all weird. It's like a polycule family thing. What's these okay, obviously the two daughters, that makes sense, that's their family, but some of these people are grown ass men.
Your Honor, I would like to plead guilty and request the death penalty.
Higuruma, bro. Higuruma is really cool. Streets are saying that he's the Satoru Gojo of the lawyer world. And while I do agree to some extent, I also disagree to some extent, but I do agree to some extent. And it's because like he is someone who's incredibly innately talented to his line of work. And with that monologue that he said to that one girl, you know, he's someone who fundamentally believes in the idea of justice. When he sees something bad, he's not someone who just looks away. He's gotta do something about it. He believes in justice. And so that's why he became the lawyer. He went to law school, he studied law because he believed in the justice system. You know, seeing his fundamental faith just being absolutely broken by the corruption of the justice system, he becomes radicalized. He has an existential crisis. And I think his story plays into the whole like themes of the entire Jujutsu Kaisen. Okay? Because like, why does someone like Nanami die, but someone like Meimei lives? The world of Jujutsu Kaisen, and not just the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, the whole world, you know, our world, is just random. You know, you can believe in justice, the world just doesn't care. The world is ever so indifferent. The world is ever so random and absurd, and people just die for no reason. Bad people live, good people die. His fundamental belief in the justice being broken like this, broken by the system that's supposed to uphold justice, he gets radicalized. He has an existential crisis of some sort. And the way that Yuji Itadori plays into this, plays into his character, this character that is actually someone who fundamentally believes in justice and someone who's powerful enough to consistently uphold his principles despite everything, someone who's just fundamentally a good person. Higuruma regains that belief, you know, maybe not fully, but regains that drive, some of that faith and hope. That's what the fight with Sukuna was so important, because it was the fight between the belief of fairness itself, if you feel me, but I'll touch on that later. And his contributions to the Sukuna fight was also like really cool. He was so cool in that fight, okay? Like, think about it, like Higuruma is a relatively new sorcerer. He just learned about he just learns about his powers. Like, he's literally 3 months into being a sorcerer, and he's able to at least like not die in the fight with literally like the most powerful sorcerer of the Heian era. Okay, that's impressive. He learns RCT. And he uses that to like ambush and surprise Sukuna. That's just aura, man.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is he?
I think Nanami is genuinely the perfect side character. He has an interesting story. He has a cool and likable personality. He has cool powers, and he helps the protagonist. He helps the protagonist to grow, and like, he's just cool. You know, like, he's generally the perfect sad character. He's hot too, and he has a really sad death too. And in the Jujutsu Kaisen world, Nanami represents the facet, the human experience of jobs, employed people. Because okay, Nanami was someone who studied cursed sorcerer, who was gonna be a cursed sorcerer and believed in that. And then he witnessed his best friend die. And I guess that sort of sent him spiraling into a sort of depression. And he gained the belief that maybe it's enough to just live a normal life, get a normal job, and make enough money, work until you make enough money and retire and live a pretty ordinary life. And maybe that's enough to just live, you know, and not die, and not witness your friends die. But for some reason, he comes back. Why is that? Because humans have purpose. You know, humans desperately need purpose. You ever wonder why people drop out of high school or something, or people quit their jobs to just do some random stupid thing? It's because of that sort of like lack of excitement, or lack of just that frustration of denying your true self, even though it's gonna put you in danger. That's what makes Nanami, even though Nanami seems like this like level-headed, smart, and actually like, you know, a trusted adult type of person. Like, he's that type of guy that like when people say talk to a trusted adult, I think of Nanami. Even though he seems like someone who isn't stupid, coming back to the world of horse sorcery is kind of stupid. And that's what makes his character even more interesting. Because he could have just worked and make a bunch obviously, of money. Like, some part of him, you know, lacked sense of fulfillment, that sense of purpose.
I'm gonna kill each and every one of you.
Maki Zenin was just aura. You know, when I first watched Jujutsu Kaisen, like I said earlier, I watched it for Airiri Shoko, because she was a baddie, and I was like, oh, I want to watch this for this baddie. But she wasn't much in the series. And then I pivoted to Maki Zenin. Okay, she was a baddie. Okay, in season 1 she was a baddie. In season 2 she was a baddie, and in season 3 she was still a baddie. And I like her. You know, I love her, man. I love her as a character. Like, she's just aura. You know, like, she's aura. She has a lot of aura. Her story with Mai was pretty interesting and tragic, but I already talked about that. Like, she's just someone who wanted to leave an abusive household and wanted to live a normal life. And I think seeing her just being around her friends, you know, being around Panda and Inumaki and Yuta is pretty cool. And I think that adds a lot of juxtaposition to her just being badass and her hatred to the Zenin clan. And yeah, you know, I'm rooting. I like her a lot, you know, as an underdog, because she's someone who doesn't have cursed energy, right? Kind of forgot about that. She doesn't have cursed energy. And then obviously, you know, seeing her truly bloom into like the badass that she is was pretty cool. That entire episode, that 30-minute episode, the 30-minute or so episode, was it? That like longer episode, that's longer than normal, was just amazing. Okay, I saw some people didn't like it, and I thought that was just crazy. Okay? That entire episode was crazy. It was just straight aura and hands. And yeah, seeing her become this sort of Kill Bill, femme fatale character is kind of cool. I think that's in itself a sort of like meta thing, because obviously, like, Maki was someone who was just a normal person who had a relationship with her friends and was just like a normal person. And then obviously having her sister die is something that rendered her numb. And I think her conversation when she got a little bit older to her grandkids about maybe it would have been better if she never got powerful, if it meant that Mai would have still been alive. Because I think a lot of Maki's character was to sort of prove something. Just the abusive people that abused her and her sister to become someone who was powerful, you know. That was like part of her character, to like chase this power. But of course, like, she just fundamentally couldn't. Like, she didn't have cursed energy. Just like everything was just against her, and that sort of like underdog story was just very fundamental to her character. And obviously she got what she wanted, but it was a monkey paws thing because it led to her sister dying. And so she got what she needed, right? She got what she wanted for so long, to finally have revenge to the abusive bitches that abused her and her sister for so long, and to finally kill them with her bare hands. But she feels numb because obviously her sister is dead. And obviously, you know, her fights beyond that was pretty cool. Her fight with the vagina monster is pretty cool, and her like learning to awaken even more from just playing sumo and just learning to like But I feel like she should have done more in the fight with Sukuna. Excuse me. She should have done more. Nakamura, bro. Nakamura, Kokechi, Muta. Even though this character is mostly pretty irrelevant, I guess, you know, people don't really talk to him now because he died pretty early in the series. He has pretty cool powers. He has there was a whole freaking, did people forget that there was a whole freaking like robot battle? I forgot what it's called, like a mecha fight battle in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. That's crazy, okay? That's crazy. That's why I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I really like Mekamuro because I feel like it represents a pretty obscure but equally tragic tales that's very real to the world. It's people with like disabilities, you know, people who have that like intense disability of just like not being able to do normal people stuff. I think like that's very fundamental to the themes of Jujutsu Kaisen. Beyond all the fights and crazy stuff, it's really like just living an ordinary mundane life. That's what's really important. with Kokichi Muta, he couldn't do anything. Like, he couldn't live a normal life. He couldn't even be powerful either. That's what makes his fight with Mahito, I think, one of the best in the series. Like, not just from an aura standpoint, but from a, like, story standpoint. Because the fight wasn't a fight to, like, save the world or save a bunch of people or something like that. But it was just a fight to live a normal life. And I feel like that plays a lot to, like, the overall themes of Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Because you have all these crazy people and all that stuff, but what the story treasures most is, like, the ordinary, just to live ordinary human lives. Kokichi Muta was someone who couldn't even live that, who couldn't even be wasn't even someone who had that, right? He was incapable, he was kept from doing any of that, right? Because he had, like, the butterfly skin disease. And so he finally had the opportunity. He betrayed the whole Jujutsu Kaisen high. He, like, became a rat for the sake of the opportunity to, like, live a normal life, to finally get rid of his disability. And then he could have just run away, but he didn't. And he had to fight Mahito. And he was living to live a life where he could just be a normal person. You know, and that's what makes that entire fight so, like, you know, so tragic. Because he just he was fighting for the sake of Kasumi Miwa. Okay, he just wanted to, like, be with a cute girl, man. He just wanted to, like, I don't know, eat stuff, hang out with people, and be with a cute girl, you know. And that's what makes it so sad, right? Yuta Okotsu is a fascinating character. I know a lot of people are like, really don't like this guy, and, you know, I don't really get it, to be honest. Hey, I don't really get it. And honestly, I'm not really part of the fandom. You know, I'm actually LARPing Jujutsu Kaisen. I've actually never seen a single episode of this anime. Yuta Okotsu is a fascinating character because he feels like he is, you know, that typical powerful, upbeat protagonist that's like, ooh, I must save everyone, you know, I'm a good guy, talk no jutsu type of stuff. Like, he's Naruto. He's Naruto. He's, I don't know who else. He's like Captain America, you know? But here's the thing. He's not the protagonist. Like, he was the protagonist for, like, a single movie, but he's not a protagonist. Like, and I feel like that makes him so interesting because he is, like, a hero. In the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, people are, like, normal. You know, people usually just do their jobs. They don't do it for any noble purpose. Except for Yuta Okotsu. You know, he actively is a hero. He's not even trying to be a hero. He is, like, a hero. Like, he's fundamentally, like, a good kind person. Like, he's saving people. He's, like, saving children and evacuating people. And I want to compare him to Yuji a bit. I mean, no, never mind. I don't want to do that. It's really interesting because he is, like, a good person, right? And like I said earlier, he's even a bit like Naruto, but he's not Naruto. Because Naruto usually would, like, talk no jutsu and stuff and, like, try to, like, I don't know, talk to the villains and stuff. But, like, Yuta, you know, Yuta is a hero. He knows what he's about. Like, when he sees a bad guy, that's just a bad guy. And I think the difference between Yuta and Yuji, because I feel like fundamentally they're a little bit of the same type of character, right? They're both, like, fundamentally heroes. They're fundamentally good and kind people, and they fundamentally believe in justice. But the difference between Yuta and Yuji is that Yuta actually has power to, like, do this stuff, you know? Like, Yuji is a hero, but usually, like, he gets kind of beat up because he just doesn't have the power. Then Yuta actually has the power to, like, do all the good stuff that he's doing, you know? He's willing, like, he's doing all this stuff, you know, he's doing his duty. He's trying to be more powerful for the sake of his friends. He's, like, evacuating a bunch of people. He's, like, saving a bunch of people. And usually, you know, he usually doesn't have much traumatic experiences because he actually has the power. And I kind of understand the hatred that Yuta has because, like, of course, you know, Yuta and Yuji are both good people, but for some reason, Yuta just has it so much better, right? He barely goes through anything traumatic, unlike Yuji. He has a bunch of friends. He has a hot wife. His friends aren't dead. He has superpowers, and at the end, he actually gets to, like, have a family and live a happy, long life. unlike Yuji. And so, yeah, you know, I kind of get like it, because it's a bit unfair, right? Kenjaku, man. Like, Kenjaku is a fascinating character. I feel like if he was the main villain of the entire series, genuinely, he would have been like one of the best villains ever. But obviously, a lot of the focus is with Sukuna more than him. But I think like he's still like incredibly fascinating. With him, like he's someone who's lived for like thousands of years, and I really love characters that live that long. You know, like Doctor Who, for example, or I can't think of anyone else. But I think like, you know, I think that's something that like us humans just can't comprehend. Obviously, like if old people, right, like people who've lived for like 70 years, even 60 years, like 60 years is a lot, but compared to 1,000 years, like that's incomparable. You know, like you could live like, that's like dozens and dozens of lifetimes. And then him turning out to be like this, he's like someone who's like bored, and so he wants to cause despair for like no reason. He doesn't care about anything at all. Like he's gonna do whatever it takes. He can go inside of a woman and dress up as a woman and like do all this stuff just for the sake of his evil plan. And he's willing to cause all this despair just because he's bored. Kinda wish we got more of him. Choso, man. Choso, bro. Choso, man. Like, Choso. You know, he's the big brother. He's the Oni-san of Yuji Itadori. And, damn, the trajectory of this character is just so fascinating. Because at first, when you see him, he's just this random guy who's, like, out for revenge for Yuji Itadori. And, you know, at first you might seem like, oh, he's like a head rack Gojo guy, or Shigamu, or like that Shigamu or something. But no, but like, okay. And then he has a fight with Yuji, and it's freaking hype as heck. It's crazy. You know, he's like avenging his big brother's hat. Wow, what a good brother. And then he just goes crazy for some reason. He's like, what is happening? What is happening? Yuji is his brother? And that's crazy. If I had a nickel every time Yuji Itadori fought someone, and then they turned out to be siblings afterwards, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's weird that it happened twice. Then Choso, and oh my god, and then Choso just like slowly turns to be one of the best characters in the entire series. He is someone who did bad stuff. Like, people forget that he actually killed people in like the whole subway scene. But I think what most people forget is that the characters in these series, most of them just aren't good people. Yeah, but they are good guys, and that's only because compared to the evil guys, they're better. You know, I mean, they're not like entirely good, right? Maki killed a bunch of people, even though they were bad people. Like, they still killed people. Gojo was willing to kill some people. Megumi probably would kill someone if it meant they were like actively, you know, threatening their life. And like, they aren't good people, but they aren't bad people. He becomes like a really helpful person to Yuji. He's like helping him because he's his big brother. Characters are cool, and then he has a thing with Yuki, and it's and they make out, and they have a romance, and they have a sex scene. It's so cool. And then he dies saving Yuji Itadori, you know, and it's like the most heartwarming and sad thing ever. And his final scene was just beautiful. I think you know, his whole monologue about maybe it would have been better if he chose to live as humans instead of cursed spirits. That was beautiful, genuinely, and it's such a good, I don't know, overall thesis or whatever to his character. Man, we're really getting to the big four. The big four, man. If you haven't been keeping up onto who's left, it's Gojo, Sukuna, Todo, and Yuji. Oh, wonder who's one, wonder who's second, wonder who's third, wonder who's fourth. And I'll tell you who's fourth.
Showtime! Magic!
Fire!
Sukuna. He doesn't have a last name. Sukuna is the big bad. He's the main villain of the entire series. And guess what? And you know what? He's a good, really, really good villain. Okay? Jujutsu Kaisen is a good manga. Sukuna is a really, really good villain. Before I talk about his overall impact of the story, let me talk about his personality. He's someone who's sadistic, but he's not crazy. He drank soda and eat popcorn. Also, Yuji could throw up when he did all that crazy stuff. He stopped mid-fight just to troll some random people. And he's someone who only lives for himself, right? He's someone who's hedonistic. To contrast him a little bit to Gojo Satoru, the other strongest character, Gojo Satoru is someone who is the strongest, but he doesn't live for himself. He lives for the sake of other people. He's like actively trying to connect with other people, actively teaching about other people, so he has allies. And Sukuna isn't like that. Apart from Urame, he's someone who only lives for himself. He lives for the war. He lives for battles and stuff. At first you might think that's a little bit shallow, but no, because, and this directly just breaks the fundamental theme and message of Jujutsu Kaisen. The value of life, right? The value of ordinary, mundane life. Sukuna rejects that all. And what makes him such a formidable villain is that he's so powerful. Compared to the protagonist, Yuji Todori, he's someone who just overpowers Yuji Todori at every single level. Something Yuji Todori couldn't ever hold a candle upon. And that's what makes him so scary, because he is entropy. He's absurdity. He's the rejection of justice. He's the rejection of hope, of happiness, of everything that's meaningful. Right? He's that. And that's what makes him such a good villain. Daddy's out! Over there! Gojo Satoru, my beautiful big blue-eyed king, my beautiful white-haired king, please give it to me, Gojo Satoru. Make my purple hollow. Please expand my domains, please. What can I say about Gojo Satoru that already hasn't been said? He's the GOAT. He's the GOAT. He's amazing. And I think he's a really good example of how to do the strongest character. And he's not the protagonist of the story. Usually in Dragon Balls or Naruto even, the strongest character of the series is usually the protagonist. But Jujutsu Kaisen, he's not. He's the mentor. He's the umbrella that's supposed to make everything easier for everyone else. Right? And that's why his absence in the Shibuya arc is so much felt, because after he's sealed, everything just goes to shit. And yeah, and himself it almost becomes a sort of meta narrative or whatever. I don't know if that's even a word, but yeah, obviously in the context of outside of the show, he's considered the strongest. Actually, technically he's not anymore, but he was the strongest, right? But also in the story itself, in the world itself, he is the strongest. Not much other people compared to him. And I feel that's such a fascinating dilemma for a character like him. Because he is a little bit goofy, he's a little bit silly, but he's also incredibly mysterious. Obviously before the backstory arc that he had, we didn't know much about him, right? He was just a goofy, silly guy, mentor, that could have some aura every now and then. And then his backstory. He was someone who had a youth. Even though as a kid, he had this fate of having to become someone who was going to become the protector of the world. The strongest sorcerer ever, right? And that was his fate. But I suppose some part of him, obviously sort of rejected this fate, right? The duty to protect people using his power. Great power comes great responsibility. Because he just wanted to have fun with his best friend and his friends, and he wanted to live his youth. And he couldn't do anything. He could have done everything that he wanted, because obviously they're the strongest. And then, boom, that entire thing happened, and his entire world just sort of flipped, right? He wasn't the strongest. He wasn't strong enough, and so he kind of gave up, and then caved in, no longer rejected his duty and fate, and actually became the strongest at the loss of his best friend and his youth and his innocence. As time moves on, he mentors a bunch of people, he does stuff to save the world, he does his duty, all while his best friend, the person that matters him to most, is building his own family, is starting a cult, doing some evil stuff, and then it all comes to a climax in the movie. Geto finally does his plan, does his grand plan, and then Gojo has to kill his best friend. Gojo and Geto's relationship is pretty tragic and interesting, and I feel like it's fundamental to Gojo Satoru as a character. Obviously, Geto and Gojo care a lot about each other. They love each other's company, and they consider each other to be the person that matters to them the most. They drift apart, they separate, and it's incredibly tragic. And the reason for this is because they just had fundamentally different philosophies. And to an extreme level, Geto's reaction to the death of Riku Amanai is seeing the duty of being a Jujutsu sorcery to be kind of BS, you know, because these humans kind of suck, to be honest, right? And then Gojo's reaction to Riku Amanai's death is to sink himself further into this duty of becoming the strongest, all for the sake to protect people like Amanai. I feel like part of Geto's plan was, I think part of it was being mad at what it was doing to Gojo to some extent. Because Gojo, like, obviously had to, like, you know, kill his youth and kill his own happiness for the sake of becoming the strongest and stuff. And then Geto was like, that's kind of sad, man, that kind of sucks. And so he had to become the villain to Gojo Satoru's hero, because like he viewed him having to have this duty as a hero to be just fundamentally wrong, and he wants his best friend to be somewhat happy, I guess. I feel like it's one of the only examples of a hero, two best friends, and one becomes the hero and the other becomes the villain sort of story that I can also think that I can only recall. It is a fight, but it's a fight out of love for each other. But obviously in the end, like, Gojo Satoru won, and then I feel like they both knew at the end that Geto was gonna die at the hands of his best friend, and that Gojo was gonna have to kill his best friend. And I feel like they were both okay with that, because that was the roles that each of them picked to do. I feel like they didn't have to do that, right? I feel like they could have broke free from the role of a villain and the role of a hero, and could have just been together or something. But obviously, that's not what happened. And after Geto's death, Gojo Satoru seemingly doesn't change much. At least because, like, we don't really see him before Geto, like, at least as an adult. And after Geto, he's still the same goofy type of guy. But I feel like some part of him is a lot more numb and colder. Some part of him takes enjoyment in the battle a lot more. I thought it really sweet that, like, his only weakness, you know, the literal grand plan to defeat the strongest sorcerer of this era was to flash his ex-best friend's body in front of him, and that gives him a single second of an opening that allows him to capture him for good and do all this evil stuff. And I want to talk about Gojo versus Sugoi. Obviously, he dies. You know that the chapter, like, in their fight, right? When Gojo had the upper hand with Sukuna, and then someone was like, Gojo wins. And the literal next chapter, he's dead! What the f was that? And so, like, a lot of people were really sad, a lot of people were really mad and confused and stuff, because, like, why would you say Gojo won and then the next chapter he's dead? I think, in a way, right, Gojo did win. He might have died, but he did win against Sugoi. Because I feel like the way that Gojo Satoru is the strongest is not just because, you know, he has the 6 eyes, or he can do the hollow purple and the domain expansion, and he's like super parallel and stuff. It's not just that. The difference between Gojo Satoru being the strongest and Sukuna being the strongest is that Sukuna is alone, and Gojo Satoru is the strongest because he brings other people who are strong around him. He mentored Yuji, Maki, Yuta, a bunch of other people. And that's what makes him the strongest, because he mentored all of these kids that would end up beating a big bad if there were ever to be one. And that's why Sukuna lost and Gojo Satoru actually won, because of the power of friendship. Todo Aoi, look, I don't have much to say that's already been said. He's the GOAT! He's the best friendo, bro. He's muscular. He's muscular. He can teleport when he's clapping his cheeks. And he's like the best friendo, bro. He's schizophrenic. He did a bunch of cool stuff. He taught Yuji how to do Black Flash. He inspired Yuji when he was down the most. Todo Aoi is really cool. He might not like be an actual major character, and he might not have a lot of depth to him. Like fundamentally as a character, he is so entertaining and he's so fun and he's so cool. He has so much aura. The way that he impacts the story, because I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen a lot of the times, you know, it's very traumatizing. It feels like you're dropped into some random world where you don't have weapons or anything, and everyone's just so much more powerful. And Todo Aoi brings so much relief to Yuji Itadori. He taught him the Black Flash. He like mentored him a little bit. Yuji Itadori, being the persistent man that he is, got to the point where he was so depressed, he was crying, he gave up, and Todo Aoi was there and he inspired him. He just gave him the best pep talk in the entire world. At times when Yuji Itadori was at his lowest, he was there to help him at every step of the way. When he was fighting Sukuna, he was there helping him. When he was at his lowest, he was there helping him. When he was getting assassinated by the principal guy, he was there to help him. Part of him is sort of a caricature, right? You know, he's seemingly that typical like gym bro type of guy that's like dumb and muscular and strong, but he's actually like really smart. He has 10,000 IQ. No, he's actually incredibly helpful. I like him a lot because he's kind of crazy. Like, he's an insane, actually mentally ill person. He is schizophrenic. He has 10,000 IQ. That's not a thing. You know, he's not a good guy. You know, people don't like him because he's just not a good guy. He is fundamentally a cursed sorcerer. Unlike someone like Gojo Satoru. You know, Gojo Satoru had someone he like cared for, and someone that was like incredibly precious to him. Even though he's so powerful, he wasn't powerful enough to like, keep that thing that he cared so much about from dying. And Todo Aoi only cares about this one idol, right? He cares about women. He cares about prefaces with women, and he's just like a force of nature. He's someone who like just doesn't get depressed, but he's just a guy that keeps on going and keeps on going and keeps on going.
That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's the MVP! That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
And number one, the best character of the entire Jujutsu Kaisen. Who else did you think it was? It's the protagonist himself, Yuji motherfucking Itadori, bro. He's the best character of the entire series, and it's not just because he's like objectively the best character. It's not just because he's like He's not just because he's the protagonist. It's because he's generally so cool, and he's probably my favorite character of the entire series. And I think he's so fascinating. Like, as a character, I keep saying fascinating, but he is, because he's kind of like a satire, or maybe even like a parody, or like a breaking down of that typical shonen MC, right? That's like headstrong, fundamentally good and kind and persistent, you know, like someone like Naruto or like Luffy. And Yuji Itadori is that, almost to the point of like cartoonishness, right? Like, he's just a good person. He has incredibly good self-esteem. You know, if I was his classmate, if I actually knew them in person, you know, he would seem like someone who's capable of doing anything that he wants to do, right? He's like a hero. Honestly, he is a hero. But unlike with Yuta Okkotsu, Yuji Itadori just doesn't have that same power, right? He's just not as powerful at the beginning. He wanted to save Junpei and become his friend, but oh, the world's like, F you, no, you're not that powerful yet. And then, you know, he's trying to become a cog in the machine and do a bunch of good stuff in the Shibuya arc, but oh, F you, I don't care about you. There's gonna be a hole and a bunch of people is gonna be dead because of you. And then, oh, he's so sad and stuff, and then Nomura dies, and then Nanami dies, and then, oh, he's depressed. And then he's depressed for a very, very long time. And then Megumi's like, hey man, can you like help us out and stuff? And then it's like, okay. And he goes to the cooling games and does his duty and does his job. And then the world again, it's like, F you, I don't care about you. And then possesses Megumi, and then another person that he cares about is gone. And then other people is dead. And then Yuji Itadori is this figure that's persistently good and persistent with his principles despite the world just fucking him again and again. And with all of that tragedy and death around him, sort of turns into shame and guilt and grief, and he becomes someone who's forever burdened by his own principle. He turns into someone who's no longer allowed to be human. He lives for years and years and years and witnessing all his closest friends die and age around him while he just lives on. Even though he's so depressed, even though he's like, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, I don't care anymore, he still can't help but do good. And I feel like Yuji Itadori represents the tragedy of just being a good person. Because usually, like, being a good person just doesn't get reported. And Yuji Itadori's fate, even if he doesn't realize it, is just to get by the world again and again. The world and fate and just hates him. Okay, entropy hates this guy. And it's not because he's a good person. You know, we've seen with Yuto Koso, he's a good guy and he gets to like be happy and stuff. You know, he's just incredibly hated by the world. Who knows why? He's like if a shonen MC had a writer that really didn't like him, that wasn't rooting for him, like at all. That's what it feels like. You know, I like Yuji Itadori, like he's pretty funny too, and he's cool, and he has a lot of aura moments. Like he's really like an all-rounder, man. He's funny, he has a lot of depth, he's a good person, he has a lot of aura, he's the protagonist, and he's like, and so that's it. That's the entire video. Is there a bunch of placements that you don't disagree with? Leave in the comments below. If there's a bunch of stuff you agree with, leave in the comments below. If there's a character that I missed, I don't care. They probably don't matter, to be honest, okay? And, yeah, that's the video, bro. Like, subscribe, tip, and, Jujutsu Kaisen is generally a really good series. And I always found it, like, really just odd that Jujutsu Kaisen has this identity of having fans that can't read. Not to make a comparison, but I'm gonna make a comparison. Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. I feel like most people have the belief that Chainsaw Man is like more, like a lot more depth than Jujutsu Kaisen. Even though I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen is incredibly dense. Like it's an incredibly dense piece of work. There is so much text in Jujutsu Kaisen. You know, like, okay, also like Chainsaw Man, I like Chainsaw Man, okay? I'm not saying like Chainsaw Man or Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not saying either one of them is better than the other, okay? I like them both. Jujutsu Kaisen has a lot of text, okay? There is so much fucking words. And I just thought it was so weird that the fans have the identity of not being able to read, even though it's literally basically like almost a novel some of the times. And so like, Jujutsu Kaisen really is the best shonen of the modern era, okay? It is generally, I'm not lying, it's a masterpiece. It really is a masterpiece. Because not only is it fun to read, there's so much good action scenes, so much aura, and an incredibly like interesting world, incredibly cool power systems. There's not also only that, a lot to pick apart on in terms of like storytelling and themes, if you choose to pick apart them. There's so much like different like facets of the world that's represented within the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, okay? Whether it's I don't know, someone like in the medical world, or someone with diseases, or someone with jobs, or someone that's something, or pandas, or stuff. There's just so much like stuff, you know. And I think Jujutsu Kaisen is just about like the world, you know, about the fight against entropy, you know, the belief, the persistence of hope and principles, and also like how to like live despite that, right? And I don't know, like, yeah, just guys is cool. You know, like, subscribe, tip. Why is Maki Zenin at 9? I didn't mean to put that there. I actually meant to put her. She's actually supposed to, I looking back at it, she should be in 5. I'm not even kidding.
top 5 character, top 4 character. And also, I forgot about that one guy. I forgot to put him in. Why won't you love me?
Bye.